Andrew Mountbatten Windsor has been stripped of the last of his royal titles in a final blow for the former royal.
He's basically thrown out and banished to the countryside where he will live in Norfolk.
Andrew came under scrutiny over his contacts to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein.
He's living in disgrace. He was stripped of his royal duties, and part of that is he's not really being paid by the monarchy anymore because he doesn't complete any royal duty.
Pressure really mounting up on Prince Andrew, having already given up the use of his royal titles.
Every empire has its shadows, and for Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, those shadows are closing in like never before. When once his name alone could silence questions and open doors, now whispers gather into storms. The fortress of privilege he counted on is crumbling, unraveling not by one force, but three converging powers: relentless investigators, lawmakers across the Atlantic, and even his own family. Each of them is piecing together fragments of a past he desperately tried to keep locked away. The revelations emerging could topple everything he counted on, and the final act promises twists no one ever expected. Andrew's story isn't just a fading headline about scandal. It's an unfolding reckoning that's reshaping his world from the inside out. Behind closed doors, the pressure is mounting. Evidence once buried resurfaces, and deeply personal family decisions are quietly redrawn. What drove this rapid unraveling? What secrets lie within the undisclosed documents at the heart of it all? And what consequences loom for a man who once seemed untouchable, now stripped of every shield? Andrew Mountbatten Windsor once inhabited a world protected by status, where his identity functioned as armor. But that armor shattered, starting with a devastating loss of status. It was no mere gesture. It was a crack that exposed stories long kept silent by the family. These stories surfaced faster than expected, forever altering perceptions. Yet losing his identity was only the beginning.
It just proves that the York brand is totally toxic.
Prince Andrew never really leaves the news, but there's been a sort of tsunami of coverage over the last couple of weeks.
It's the loss of the privilege that goes along with a royal title. That's really the most significant one, is the loss of his home. So
Buckingham Palace says that King Charles has started the process to strip Prince Andrew of his title.
King Charles has begun stripping his brother Andrew of his titles, including Prince. He has also been told to leave his royal residence.
There is a no-holds-barred, warts-and-all tell-all story waiting to be shared with the world.
And this is largely due to leaked emails that have come from Ghislaine Maxwell.
The second blow was far more tangible. Andrew was expelled from a residence he called home for nearly 20 years. Far from a quiet transition, sources say this eviction reverberated like a clear message. That loyalty, once quietly extended, was now gone. The removal wasn't optional. It was a command to distance and disassociate. What forced this dramatic shift? Insiders reveal it was driven less by outside noise and more by scorching revelations found in confidential documents, files no one outside a trusted circle was meant to see. This growing isolation fed a deeper worry among those watching, that Andrew might attempt to vanish, to flee the country before facing the consequences closing in around him. This wasn't mere speculation. Inside palace corridors, concern grew about his increasing unpredictability and desperation. When power slips away, dangerous decisions often follow. What plans might he hatch when the walls tighten? Authorities acted to prevent that possibility by moving to restrict his travel. Seizing his passport wasn't about punishment, but prevention. It was about avoiding a repeat of a precedent that haunts royal circles, a quiet escape before the net closes. That reference isn't vague. It points to a former king who disappeared into the Middle East, leaving officials scrambling. The fact that Andrew's connections in that region run unexpectedly deep only sharpened fears about a planned exit route. Digging deeper, investigators uncovered discrepancies in internal communications linked to Jeffrey Epstein's estate. Emails revealed timelines and interactions that didn't match Andrew's public statements, suggesting far greater involvement than previously admitted. These subtle yet significant messages raised unignorable questions. If he misrepresented the past, what else remained hidden? The trail led to a set of undisclosed documents, revealing the estate's own fear he might flee before being formally questioned. That concern wasn't guesswork. It came straight from those managing Epstein's estate, sending chills through observers. What was concealed in those emails that forged such suspicion? When comparisons to the vanished Carlos shifted from theory to strategy, alarm bells rang. Could the same scenario unfold again? A high-profile figure quietly slipping away before justice caught up. This grim possibility pushed officials to consider extreme measures, including full travel restrictions.
This is full disgrace and pretty much unprecedented as far as we can see.
The affairs of the royal family tells you that we are living in quite bizarre times.
The layers of duplicity and shallowness, this is a new low.
I think with the king removing all of Andrew's titles and all his honours.
So damaging about this email is that it actually highlights the cynicism in which
He's entitled to do what he wants, and maybe there's some plausible explanation.
King Charles is battling with Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson to convince the Yorks to move out of the Royal Lodge.
The problem wasn't just international parallels. US lawmakers intensified scrutiny when fresh emails hinted Andrew maintained contact with implicated individuals long after publicly severing ties. That heightened pressure from across the ocean fueled fears within UK circles about letting him remain free to move, prompting urgent discussions about what might happen if he boarded a plane and never returned. Yet the most unsettling revelations came from Britain's own investigations into the conduct of Andrew's former protection officers. What emerged was more than a routine review. It raised serious questions about misuse of power. Allegations surfaced that he exploited state-funded officers to pry into the background of one of his accusers, a fact that had lingered unexamined on the edges of the case for years, but suddenly required hard scrutiny. Phone logs, emails, and notebooks came under fresh eyes. Early findings hinted at more than a single misstep. 2 officers gave conflicting accounts. One called the request unusual, the other improper, with both suggesting conversations behind the scenes never made it into official records. If those hidden talks existed, they could reveal how far Andrew pushed influence behind the palace walls. Was this an act done on his own, or was someone advising him on manipulating state resources? As investigators widened their scope, questions arose that no royal family member wanted in public light. Who else knew about these requests? Were there similar incidents buried in years of documentation? And if such a pattern existed, what did that imply about his reaction once the accusations surfaced? This deeper probe transformed the inquiry from isolated allegations into a broader investigation of sustained influence and entitlement. The core worry for insiders wasn't just that he overstepped, but that he thought he could. An attitude revealing reckless disregard for boundaries many believed inviolable. That mindset transformed a narrow criminal inquiry into a wide-scale review of his silent reach within the institution.
Ever-evolving soap opera, that is, of course, what's happening over at Royal Lodge.
This is a superb statement by the palace. They have got the other side of this crisis, and they've made the crisis about the victims.
Putting pressure on Prince Andrew to leave Royal Lodge.
This is a prince who had, until all this stuff happened, he was decorated. His military career.
King Charles is very keen to move Andrew and his ex-wife Fergie on. He doesn't want them to live there anymore.
To be simply Andrew Mountbatten Windsor with no letters after his name, no styles before his name, and to lose those military connections as well will really sting.
Andrew Windsor is spending his last weeks at Royal Lodge ranting to himself.
Many questions about Andrew Mountbatten Windsor's finances emerging over the last 12 months.
The more uncovered, the clearer it became. The fallout would far surpass police interviews, extending into the family's internal reckoning. Behind closed doors, family members grappled with their own discoveries, reassessing whether keeping Andrew within their circle remained sustainable. What emerged wasn't only public embarrassment, but private disillusionment over choices he made, assuming no one was watching. Such revelations forced a final move, one they resisted until reality left no alternative. The family's decision came quietly but decisively. One moment Andrew held vestiges of royal standing. The next, all honours, symbols and titles were stripped away entirely. Those close to the situation say the speed of the decision signalled a revelation too significant to ignore. Losing Royal Lodge, the home linking him to his past world, wasn't just eviction. It was an institutional declaration that protection was over. Even supporters acknowledged the move signalled a definitive break. What caused this sudden severance? While public pressure played a role, insiders believe internal investigation findings weighed heavier, overwhelming any inclination to shield him. The ripples spread further. Associates once confident of immunity found their own ties scrutinized. His former partner saw titles quietly removed. A sign this wasn't just about one individual, but preserving the broader institution's image. Within palace corridors, the strategy was described as total separation. No pathways left open for return, doors firmly closed behind. Timing appeared icy and calculated, as if family leaders anticipated further revelations soon to come, demanding distance before new waves hit public view. What did they expect next? What truths lay on the horizon that drove such urgency? The answer remains partly hidden, but speculation runs high. Did internal documents or testimonies exist that the public hasn't seen? Was the family preparing for a storm beyond anything previously imagined? If keeping up with every hidden detail, private decision, and sudden twist matters to you, subscribing with notifications is essential. What unfolds next could redefine the story entirely, and no moment will be more pivotal than the one yet to come. That's it for today, folks. See you in the next video.